My friends, today, I want to talk to you about something simple but powerful, something that has carried people through hardship, lifted nations from despair, and opened doors to a brighter tomorrow. And that is the belief, the unshakable belief that change is possible. Now, I know the world can sometimes make us feel small. I know that fear, doubt, and uncertainty can whisper in our ear, telling us that the future is already written, that the odds are stacked against us. But here's the truth. The future is not written, it's waiting for you. It's waiting for your courage, your vision, and your determination. Because when you believe in change, you don't just hope for tomorrow, you shape it. You don't just wait for opportunity, you create it. And no matter where you start, no matter the challenges before you, your future can begin today. If you have the courage to believe, change begins the moment you decide to believe in yourself, not when the world gives you permission. When you look back at every story of progress, every moment of breakthrough, every person who rose above the odds, the common thread you'll find is that someone made the decision to believe in themselves before anyone else did. They did not wait for a round of applause, or a certificate, or a title to validate their worth. They understood that the first and most important permission slip in life is the one you sign for yourself. Too often, we are conditioned to think that the world has to recognize us before we can recognize ourselves, that the approval of others is the signal we need to move forward. But the truth is the world rarely gives permission in advance. If anything, it tests you, it doubts you, it questions you, and it challenges you to prove that you believe in your own voice even when no one else does. Believing in yourself is not arrogance, it is not stubbornness, it is not ignoring reality. It is choosing to see possibility where others only see limitation. It is deciding that you are worthy of effort, that your dreams are worthy of pursuit, and that your journey is worthy of sacrifice. This belief does not arrive fully formed. It grows in the quiet choices you make each day. When you choose to get back up after a failure, you are casting a vote for yourself. When you choose to learn from criticism instead of being crushed by it, you are casting a vote for yourself. When you choose to step forward even while afraid, you are telling yourself that your courage matters more than your doubt. The world is filled with stories of people who were underestimated, overlooked, even ridiculed, and yet they changed history because they dared to believe before anyone else did. Think about the inventors who were told their ideas were impossible, the leaders who were told they were too young or too inexperienced, the activists who were told the world would never change. They did not wait for permission. They did not sit around hoping someone would tell them, "Yes, you can." They looked within and they told themselves, "I will." That act of believing, that inner permission, is the spark that ignites change. Without it, no invention is built, no movement is started, no dream is pursued. Believing in yourself does not erase challenges. It does not mean that the road will suddenly become easy or that obstacles will vanish. What it does is transform the way you see those challenges. Instead of a wall that blocks you, they become tests that shape you. Instead of a reason to quit, they become reasons to grow stronger. Every rejection letter, every failed attempt, every moment of doubt becomes proof that you are in the fight, that you are still moving forward, that you have not surrendered your belief. And with each step, that belief becomes less fragile, less dependent on circumstance, more deeply rooted in who you are. There will always be voices that tell you to wait. Wait until you have more experience. Wait until you have more money. Wait until someone else believes in you first. And if you listen too long, you may spend your life waiting for a day that never comes. Permission is a cage. Belief is the key. When you finally understand that no one else can authorize your future, you begin to act with freedom. You stop asking, "Am I ready?" And you start declaring, "I will prepare myself as I go." You stop waiting for the perfect moment because you realize that the perfect moment is the one you create right now. The act of believing in yourself is contagious. When others see that you are serious, that you are committed, that you are moving with conviction, they begin to see possibilities too. They may have doubted you in the beginning, but belief has a way of shifting the atmosphere around you. People are drawn to someone who refuses to quit, someone who stands tall in the face of doubt, someone who keeps building even when others walk away. Your belief becomes a beacon, and suddenly what was once dismissed as impossible starts to look inevitable. That is how leaders are made, not by waiting for authority, but by creating momentum through faith in themselves. Every dream you hold has two versions, the dream in your mind and the dream in reality. The distance between the two is not measured in luck or privilege or chance. It is measured in the strength of your belief and the persistence of your effort. The world may try to close that distance for you, but the truth is it cannot. Only you can decide if you will wake up and put one more step toward it. Only you can decide if you will keep going when others stop. Only you can decide if you will trust your voice when it trembles. There is no external permission that can guarantee your success. There is no stamp of approval that can guarantee your happiness. What matters most is the decision to back yourself, to bet on yourself, to keep moving forward even when the applause is absent and the stage is empty. Change begins the moment you do that, because it is not the world that changes first. It is you. You begin to see yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as a creator of possibilities. You begin to notice doors where others only see walls. You begin to understand that the future bends not toward the doubters, but toward the dreamers who act. The most powerful transformations in life come from the inside out. If you want to change your circumstances, start by changing your belief about yourself. If you want to change the story, start by changing the voice that narrates it. And once you decide to believe, truly believe, that you have something valuable to offer, that you have strength to endure, that you have a vision worth pursuing, you no longer wait for permission. You are already in motion. You are already rewriting the story. You are already living the change that others said was impossible. The future is not something we wait for, it's something we build with the choices we make today. Too many people imagine the future as a faraway place, a destination that will arrive on its own time like a train pulling into the station. They tell themselves, one day things will be different. One day opportunities will show up. One day luck will knock on my door. But the truth is, the future does not roll in on its own schedule. It is shaped by the small, ordinary, often unseen decisions we make right here in the present. Every choice, every action, every step forward is like a brick we lay down, and with enough bricks, we build the road that carries us into tomorrow. When you understand that, waiting becomes wasted time. You stop looking at the clock and start looking at yourself. What am I doing with my hours, my energy, my focus? What am I choosing today that will either open doors tomorrow or close them? The future is not random. It is designed by those who act with intention. Every decision is either pushing you closer to who you want to be or pulling you further away. When you decide to invest in learning instead of settling for comfort, you are building your future. When you decide to care for your health instead of ignoring it, you are building your future. When you decide to speak up, to contribute, to take the risk of trying, you are laying the foundation for what comes next. Think of the people who have shaped history. They did not stumble into the future they desired. They made choices in moments that seemed small at the time, but those choices accumulated into legacies. A young student deciding to keep studying late into the night, even when tired. An inventor deciding to test one more design after dozens of failures. An activist deciding to raise their voice when silence would have been safer. None of those choices alone seemed monumental, but added together, they became movements, breakthroughs, revolutions. The future is not written in a single dramatic gesture. It is written in the steady rhythm of persistence. What you do today matters more than what you say you will do someday. There are countless people with great intentions, big plans, and lofty dreams, but they remain stuck in tomorrow because they never acted in today. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, the perfect opportunity, but perfection never comes. The people who actually change their lives and change the world are the ones who start imperfectly, who make the call even when nervous, who take the step even when unsure, who write the first sentence even when the whole book feels overwhelming. They understand that action creates momentum, and momentum creates possibility. The future bends toward those who move. We live in a world that can make the present feel small. Screens distract us, routines wear us down, responsibilities pile up, and it's easy to believe that what we do in this single day can't possibly shape something as big as the future. But that is exactly how the future is shaped, not in leaps, but in inches. A conversation you have today could spark an idea that changes your career. A habit you build today could change your health for decades. A kindness you show today could ripple into someone else's life in ways you will never see. When you choose to live with intention, no day is wasted. Every day becomes an investment in the life you want to see. Building the future also means accepting responsibility. It is easier to believe that tomorrow is out of our hands, that fate or luck, or the decisions of others will determine our path. But responsibility is the price of freedom. When you recognize that your choices hold power, you can no longer sit back and blame circumstances for everything. You can no longer postpone your growth until someone else changes. You begin to ask yourself, what can I do right now with what I have where I am? That question is not a burden, it is a gift. It means that no matter where you are starting, you are not powerless. Your decisions carry weight, and the future is built by those who are willing to carry that weight. At times, this responsibility feels overwhelming. You may think, how can my choices matter when the world is so big, when problems are so vast, when challenges are so heavy? But the future has never been built by one person alone. It has been built by countless individuals making choices that ripple outward. Every movement toward justice began because someone refused to accept injustice that day. Every innovation in science or technology began because someone refused to stop searching that day. Every act of progress began because someone somewhere made a choice that mattered. The future is not given to us, it is handed over piece by piece as we earn it through action. Even the act of believing that your choices matter changes the way you live. When you know that today counts, you pay attention differently. You no longer waste your time waiting for someone else to write your story. You write it yourself one decision at a time, and the more intentional you become, the more power you discover you already had. You start to notice that the gap between who you are and who you want to be is not as wide as it seemed. The bridge between the two is built from the things you choose today. The future is not a place you arrive at accidentally. It is not something that unfolds while you are distracted. It is the sum of what you decide to do with the hours in your hands right now. Some people will waste those hours and wonder why tomorrow looks the same as yesterday. Others will spend those hours deliberately investing in themselves, building relationships, cultivating discipline, practicing courage. And when tomorrow arrives, they will not be surprised by their progress because they know exactly where it came from. It came from the choices they made today. This is why the future is not something you wait for. Waiting hands you nothing. Building hands you everything. And the material you build with is the choices you make, the sacrifices you accept, the risks you are willing to take, the habits you repeat. Today is the construction site of tomorrow, and every choice is a tool in your hand, shaping a future that belongs not to chance, not to fate, not to luck. But to you, real progress comes not from avoiding challenges, but from facing them with courage, unity, and hope. Challenges are not interruptions in the path of life. They are the path itself. Every step forward requires confronting something difficult, something uncertain, something that tests who we are and what we stand for. Yet so often, we are taught to see challenges as signs that we are doing something wrong, that maybe we should turn back, that maybe the dream is not meant for us. The truth is the opposite. Challenges are not evidence that you are lost. They are evidence that you are moving. If you are walking a road with no resistance, no obstacles, no tests, then it is likely not leading anywhere worth going. Courage is the first ingredient of progress, because nothing valuable is ever achieved without stepping into fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision that something else matters more. Every person who has built, who has led, who has changed the course of history felt fear pressing on their chest, whispering in their ear, trying to keep them silent or still. But they also felt conviction, and they allowed that conviction to be louder than their fear. They chose to act, even when their voice shook, even when their legs trembled, even when failure seemed inevitable. That choice is what moves the world forward. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is not the absence of doubt, but the presence of courage in the midst of it. Progress also requires unity, because no one climbs every mountain alone. The myth of the self-made individual hides the deeper truth. We are all lifted by others, strengthened by others, inspired by others. Unity does not mean that we always agree. It means that we recognize we are stronger together than we are apart. A team that shares a vision will always go further than a lone traveler who carries everything by themselves. Progress happens when people combine their talents, their experiences, and their perspectives to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Unity is what allows communities to rise out of poverty, what allows nations to heal from division, what allows movements to endure when the struggle feels endless. When we stand together, challenges do not shrink, but our capacity to overcome them grows. Hope is the force that keeps us moving when everything around us tells us to stop. It is not naive, it is not blind optimism, it is not ignoring reality. Hope is a discipline. It is the daily practice of believing that tomorrow can be better if we work for it today. Without hope, challenges become heavy enough to crush us. With hope, challenges become stepping stones that strengthen us. Hope keeps the fire alive in moments of despair. It reminds us that no setback is final, that no failure is fatal, that no struggle is wasted if we keep moving forward. Hope tells us that even when the night is long, the morning will come. When courage, unity, and hope come together, challenges transform into opportunities. The very things that seem designed to stop us become the things that shape us. The mountain we climb strengthens our muscles. The storm we endure teaches us resilience. The setback we suffer reveals a new path we had never considered. Challenges are teachers disguised as obstacles, and progress belongs to those who are willing to learn. The lesson is not always easy, but it is always necessary. Every scar you carry tells the story of something you survived, and every survival gives you strength to face the next test. Avoiding challenges may seem safer in the moment, but over time it becomes the most dangerous choice of all. Safety without growth leads to stagnation, and stagnation is the enemy of progress. A life built on avoiding challenges may feel comfortable, but it will always feel incomplete. You cannot discover your true strength until it is tested. You cannot discover your true voice until it is challenged. You cannot discover your true purpose until it collides with difficulty. Progress is not measured by how easy the road was, but by how willing you were to keep walking even when it was hard. Throughout history, the greatest breakthroughs have come in the darkest times. When nations were torn by war, people chose courage. When communities were divided by injustice, people chose unity. When the future looked uncertain, people chose hope. They did not avoid the challenge, they faced it head-on, and by doing so, they wrote new chapters of possibility for generations to come. Progress is not born from comfort, it is born from struggle. And in that struggle, humanity discovers its strength, its creativity, its resilience, and its capacity for greatness. Challenges will always test us in ways we do not expect. Sometimes they arrive as sudden crises, sometimes as long, slow struggles that wear us down. But the principle remains: what we do in the face of those challenges defines our future. Do we retreat into fear, or do we step forward with courage? Do we isolate ourselves, or do we reach for unity? Do we surrender to despair, or do we cling to hope? These choices determine whether we remain stuck where we are or whether we move towards something greater. The truth is that no one escapes challenge. There is no life so safe, no path so secure, no plan so perfect that it avoids hardship. The question is not whether challenges will come, but whether we will rise to meet them. And when we do, we discover that the challenge was not as strong as it seemed. What was once impossible becomes possible. What once felt unbearable becomes survivable. What once looked like the end becomes the beginning of something new. Real progress is a story written in the ink of courage, unity, and hope. It is built by ordinary people who decide to stand up one more time, to work together one more day, to believe in tomorrow one more hour. It does not happen overnight, and it does not happen without pain. But it does happen, because challenge is not the enemy of progress. Challenge is the engine of progress. It is what forces us to grow, to adapt, to innovate, to rise beyond what we thought we could endure. And every time we do, we move a little closer to the life, the community, the world that we dream about.